This week's devotional is Come and Worship, the Visit of the Wise Men, December 30th, 2024. And when they had come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Matthew 2:11. In the popular song, 12 Days of Christmas, a person recounts the many gifts their true love gave them. According to PNC Bank, the 12 gifts would cost approximately $46,729.86 in today's market. The average American spends nearly $1,000 on gifts during Christmas, and the retail market is nearing $1 trillion this year alone. Gift giving is a natural part of the holidays where we give something special to family, friends, coworkers, and others with whom we have a special connection. We show our love, appreciation, and admiration for others by the gifts we give. The types of gifts we give also signify the relationship of the one to whom we are giving the gift. While we might give coworkers a card and holiday spice loaf, we often give something more personalized to our significant other. Gifts show our admiration for someone and affirm our relationship with the recipient. After Jesus was born, the wise men gave gifts that showed their admiration for him and affirmed that the king was born. You might ask, what is the significance of these gifts? In those days, gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh were used to show honor to a royal ruler. These lavish gifts were often given to a future king and were highly prized and expensive. Gifts for a king were not new when Jesus came. Psalm 72 was a prayer for future kings in the Davidic line, beginning with Solomon, to rule in righteousness, protect the weak and needy, and bless the nations. In the psalm, we see all others falling down to serve the one king and presenting him with gifts. In 1 Kings chapter 10 verses 1 to 10, the Queen of Sheba visits Solomon and brought lavish gifts, including gold and spices, just like the wise men to Jesus. Only this time, it was for the true king who would have an eternal kingdom and rule forever. The story of the wise men, found in Matthew 2, begins with them going to Herod after seeing a star, telling him that they wanted to worship the baby. Herod was troubled and began to inquire about where the baby was and commanded the wise men to find Jesus. Like the other comparisons we've looked at this month, the two birth announcements and the two births, we now have two other comparisons. Herod's reaction to Jesus' birth versus the wise men. While Herod plotted to kill Jesus, the wise men worshipped him and brought gifts. Herod was an extremely violent and paranoid man, even killing his wife and several sons. He would eliminate anything and anyone that would threaten his reign and kingship. The fact that this new king was not his son meant that Jesus was a direct threat to Herod. He was persistent in his questioning to find where the child was born so that he could kill him. Herod commanded the wise men to find Jesus, and they left and followed the star. There are several points of significance in the wise men and the star. The first is that the Magi were royal advisors to the king and specialized in magic and astrology. God used the star to guide the wise men, a clear symbol that they would have understood. They were also Gentiles. This meant that the gospel was for more than just the Jews, but for all. Romans chapter 1 verse 16. After the wise men worshipped Jesus and gave him gifts, they had an important dream to not return to Herod. Jesus was protected from Herod by the wise men being told to take an alternate route home. Just like Caesar's census in Luke 2, God sovereignly works through the plans of evil oppressors and rulers to achieve his purposes. Nobody and nothing can thwart God's plan. God always works all things together for those who love him. Romans 8:28. In Christina Rossetti's famous poem, In the Bleak Midwinter, she recounts Jesus' birth. In the final verse, she wrote, "What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what can I give him? Give him my heart." All Jesus wants from us is our heart. We often think that we must clean up our act and be in the right place for Jesus to accept us, or he will only accept us if we have the perfect offering. He came to us and gave himself up for sinners like you and I. We don't have to have gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We don't need to be perfect. All we have to have is a humble, repentant heart that confesses, "I am a sinner, and Jesus is Lord." What is the greatest gift you can give Jesus this Christmas? Give him your heart.